and it's going to be another warm one across the area with lots of sunshine. I'll have the weekend forecast for you.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Amber Jenkins.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane. It looks like another warm one across the 4 states. In fact, more summer-like instead of fall-like. And it's going to be that way through most of the weekend. Let's take a look outside right now on satellite view. Not a whole lot going on across the central plains. Just a few clouds skirting across north central Kansas and south central Nebraska this morning. Also a few clouds in western Tennessee. The allergies today are going to be in the moderate category once again. 6.3 today, 6.2 tomorrow. Most of that being ragweed and chenopod. Taking a look at your bus stop forecast, sending out the kids to school, 68 degrees with mostly fair skies. Might be a little bit of fog out there this morning, and then as we head home this afternoon, we're looking at temperatures in the upper 80s with mostly sunny skies. And taking a look at your afternoon, we're expecting 86 at lunchtime, 89 at about 2 o'clock, and 82 for 4 p.m. And we're going to be dealing with the heat, so make sure that you stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit your outdoor activities if at all possible, and be sure to check on the elderly as well as the pets. Looking down the lane, there are some changes in the forecast though. Fantastic for your Friday, a sunny weekend, then some storms midweek, and then what's this about falling temperatures? I'll tell you all about that in the forecast coming up in just a bit.
Thanks, Sam. A Carthage driver is dead after a pickup pulls in the path of a tractor trailer. Just before 6:30 last night, reports of a tractor trailer and a pickup collision at Missouri 96 and County Road 80. The pickup driver failed to yield and pulled into a path of a tractor trailer. The pickup driver, John James of Carthage, was thrown from the vehicle and pronounced dead on the scene. The vehicle laser caught on fire and was fully involved as Carthage Fire arrived minutes later. Semi-driver William Dunaway of Neosho suffered minor injuries and was transported to an area hospital. Images shot by a drone shows the arrest yesterday of a fugitive in northeast Oklahoma. U.S. Marshals asked the assistance from the Miami, Oklahoma Police Department to find Lucan Logan, who had a warrant in Ottowa County for a drive-by shooting that took place in Wyandotte in late August. The victim suffered minor injuries. A tip led authorities to 2 people in a tent in a heavily wooded area near Wyandotte. The police drone monitored the scene as police made the arrest. In addition to Logan, authorities arrested 2 other people, including a woman accused of harboring the fugitive. The state of Kansas is battling a shortage of attorneys, particularly in rural counties. Last December, the Kansas Supreme Court created a special committee to examine the unmet legal needs related to the shrinking number of lawyers throughout the state. KOAM's Tanya Box looks into the problems about the attorney shortage is creating in southeast Kansas.
Monday, I was in a felony docket with Judge Kreitz here in Allen County. A Zoom docket with Judge Alquist in Neosho County on domestic cases. I had cases in Bourbon County at 1:30. Child needed care case in Wilson County, which is Fredonia, at 2:30.
If you said Jacob Manbeck is a busy man, you wouldn't be wrong. He runs a general practice law firm in Iola, Kansas. He also takes on a number of court-appointed cases that keep him on the move in at least 8 different counties in southeast Kansas.
There's not an extremely high caseload. There's just a shortage of attorneys.
Missouri touts 4 attorneys for every 1,000 residents in the state. Compare that to Oklahoma at 3.4. But in Kansas, there are only 2.7 active lawyers for every 1,000 people. And 80% of the Sunflower State's attorneys live in 6 counties.
When you talk to those recruiters, they'll tell you that they have people that have graduated and they want to live in Wichita, they want to live in the Kansas City area, maybe the Topeka, the Lawrence area. They don't want to come to rural Kansas.
Jerry Hathaway is the Allen County District Attorney. He and Manbeck are 2 of the 12 total attorneys who call Allen County home. With fewer lawyers like them in rural counties, that attorney-to-resident ratio expands.
In the 31st Judicial District, and that includes Allen County, there's 1 attorney for every 772 residents. But in the district that includes Bourbon, Lynn, and Miami counties, there's one lawyer for every 1,038 people.
As the prosecutor, Hathaway says he sees the shortage most on the defendant's side of the courtroom.
The majority of the time they spend with their client is before, a docket in court. And so they're rushing around, meeting with their clients, doing the docket in court, and then in the afternoon they've got to be down in Parsons, or they've got to be in Fort Scott or something, and they have to do it all over again.
They've had to go up to the Kansas City metro area or different areas of the state to find an attorney to represent one of our local defendants.
Like many counties in southeast Kansas, Cherokee County Sheriff David Grove says the attorney shortage trickles down to his jail too, with longer stays for inmates between court proceedings.
Somebody that's arrested today probably isn't going to get through the process within 2 years.
And a bigger stack of cases for rural attorneys.
I think that here lately, within the last few years, it seems that the cases maybe haven't increased in volume, but they've increased in intensity, which requires a lot more work.
But for attorneys like Manbeck, they'll continue to weather the shortage storm.
I am from Humboldt. My wife is from Iola. Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to come back and practice in my hometown.
Just to keep that sense of small town pride alive. Reporting in southeast Kansas, Tanya Bach, KOAM News.
Later on in the show, we'll meet a Pittsburgh attorney who is serving on the Kansas Rural Justice Initiative Committee. We also look at the possible solutions the committee is pursuing to help curb the Kansas attorney shortage. The Joplin Fire and Police Departments yesterday conducted a training exercise to prepare responders for a situation where they all need to come together, like an active threat event. 13 other area emergency services agencies also participated in the exercise. The training is a part of the Active Threat Integrated Response course hosted by Louisiana State University. MSSU and Crowder College volunteers played the roles required for the training.
The instructors have set together a few unknown scenarios. We're not sure. They're going to basically throw us in the deep end, and we're going to work through it, see what we do right, how we can learn, and what we can do better.
There's going to be a lot of chaos if something like this were to happen in our community. And the more we train together, the better we're working together, the more likely that chaos will go away quicker and things will happen, and saving lives is the ultimate goal there of us coming together to do that.
More than 40 officials participated in the 3-day-long course. The training happened in West Central Elementary, which is currently not being used for classes. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in your first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Pitt State football is ranked 3rd in the country, but can they keep it up? Plus, the Food and Drug Administration updated the label of the diabetes drug Ozempic. We have what you need to know. And we have another hot and dry day. We'll have what to expect for today with meteorologist Sam Lane in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Currently, Pitt State football is number 3 team in the nation, and much like every other team, the Gorillas' focus every week is solely on the team and game right in front of them. This Saturday, PSU faces 0-4 Northeastern State before going against the number 11 team in the country, undefeated Emporia State, next weekend. Nevertheless, the Gorillas' mindset is still unchanged.
We have a 1-0 mindset, stay in the moment mindset here, and every start to every week, it's always about us. What do we have to do to get better? And that's where we started again this week, and then we start to really dial it in and focus on the opponent. And we've done the same thing this week. Our guys understand the 1-0 mentality and how that's worked to this point, so I don't see us changing this week.
Our motto has always been 1-0, and Northeastern's a hungry team looking for a win, like you said, and so I think it's just the best thing we can do is just stay positive and just focus on them, focus on their offense.
Miami softball won its regional semifinal Wednesday night against Dewey in the double elimination tournament. That means yesterday all the Lady War Dogs had to do was win one more game out of 2 in order to become the regional champions. Miami hosting the Regional 15 tournament versus Dewey. A win and you get to move on. A loss, you stick around to play another. Bottom of the first, Kyla Overton hits this off the glove of the third baseman, and it's an RBI single, puts up Dewey 1-0. Later in the inning, Addie Duggar gets a good piece of it as it lands right between the outfielders. It's an RBI triple, and the Bulldoggers lead 2-0. Dewey leads 7-0 entering the sixth inning. So at the top of the sixth now, Brooklyn Powell gets just enough of it as that ball clears the fence for a 2-run home run. Miami was able to come away with 3 runs in the sixth inning, but it just wasn't enough. In the seventh inning, Dewey leads 7-3. Powell, who hit the home run earlier, grounds out in a double play, and that will end the game. Still another game to play, but Dewey pulls off the upset as they beat Miami 7-3. So let's go to game number 2. The same teams square off again. This time it's either win or go home. Bottom of the first inning, Brooklyn Powell rips this into left. It's a 2-run single, and Miami takes a 2-0 lead. Then we go to the next batter. Hayden Davis goes opposite field as that falls for a hit. RBI single, 3-0 War Dogs. Pitching in this game is Faith Lemons, and she's just what Miami needed. She gets the strikeout in the second inning. Next batter she handles, the comebacker for the out. Then she ends the inning on a swing and miss, and she is fired up. In the bottom of the second, it's Lemons again, except this time with the bat she hits a 2-run single to put Miami up 6-0. Then Lemon closes out the game with a strikeout. The Miami War Dogs go on to win as they are the Regional 15 champions after they beat Dewey in the second game 13-1 in 5 innings. Congratulations.
And for them to come back and make adjustments and really try to get downhill on balls and just be committed to who we've been all year. I mean, and tap back into our work ethic and our determination and really just everything we've built right back here. It's really impressive to see how determined and how resilient they are.
I would just like to say that we work great as a team and that a lot of us are really selfless. And in the prayer we say before, we always be like, Lord, I pray that you just keep us humble. And I feel that that really shows, especially when there's adversity.
Colgan football is off to a perfect start this season. The Panthers are 4-0 after winning a close one over Frontenac in week 1. They haven't played a competitive game since then. Last night was Colgan's senior night, and it was the game against Northeast. Senior night at Hutchison Field, Vikings of Northeast entered this contest at 0-4. First play from scrimmage, Tucker Harrell throws deep down the far sideline, and Jack Schrimmer is there for a 40-yard pickup. Colgan scores later in the drive to go up 7-0. Panthers, though, get it back on the move again. Harold calls his own number, weaves through defenders, goes to the house, 14-0 Panthers. Colgan getting it done on defense as well. Dawson Troth throws into traffic, and Brady Badart gets the interception, has blockers in front, and he takes it to the end zone for a pick six. 35-0 Colgan in just the first quarter. Backups into the game by the second quarter for Colgan. Karsten Simmons rolls out and finds Brock Riddell, and the sophomore makes a move on 2 defenders and scores, put up Colgan 56-0. This one was never in doubt, and Colgan wins the game with a shutout 76-0. Still to come, how much alcohol you and your spouse drink could influence your teenage children. We're going to have all the details. Plus, we're going to have a check of the 7-day forecast, including a look at the weekend when the KOAM Morning News returns. So stay with us. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's looking like a nice day across the area so far. Bright moon out there with a full moon at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. And we're looking for mostly fair conditions also in Joplin right now. We're sitting at 67 degrees, south-southeast wind at 6 and the dew point 61, so we have a humidity of 81%, the pressure at 29.99 inches of mercury. Radar right now is all clear, and it's going to stay that way through most of the day, and that means the drought situation is still ongoing, especially for our friends in Chautauqua, Elk, and Montgomery counties where it's exceptional. And unfortunately, rain chances are going to be pretty close to zero for the next 36 hours right through the weekend. Temperatures this morning, though, are very pleasant, generally in the 60s, 63 in Stockton, 64 in Nevada. Pick out your hometown, 66 in Independence, as well as Nowata, 67 warmer degrees down in Grove, 66 in Bentonville. Dew points are in the 50s right now. Some 60s are starting to creep in, like in No Water right now with 60 even, 59 at Veneta and in Grove. And we're going to see the moisture increase as we go over the next couple of days. And as a result, the feels like temperatures are going to be coming back with readings feeling like in the low 90s across the area. So more summer-like instead of fall at this time of year. And that continues into your Saturday with temperatures feeling like in the upper 80s and lower 90s. And that continues right on into Sunday across the area. And it's all because we're watching this big omega block developing across the central part of the country with high pressure and control. But as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, here comes a big storm system from the west. And behind this system, we're going to have a very strong northerly flow behind it. And that means a very cool air mass is going to drop down into our area as we go into the extended forecast. And we're going to get back closer to normal around here. Rainfall amounts on that Wednesday system are expected right now to be on the light side according to the GFS model, but I think it might be underdoing this a little bit. We probably end up with around half an inch or so across the area. Temperatures, though, this afternoon are going to be very toasty, upper 80s to lower 90s, especially out to the west with Eureka and Howard with a high of 93. Then as we go into tonight, just a few clouds here and there with lows in the 60s, and then tomorrow, more summer-like weather with temperatures in the upper 80s and lower 90s with strong south winds. And then as we go into Sunday morning, still very pleasant and a little bit more muggy out there with lows generally in the 60s. And over the next 7 days, we're looking at very warm conditions today and then on the weekend, as well as Monday and Tuesday. Then finally, we start to see some storms in here on Wednesday afternoon and evening. Some of these storms could be strong. We'll keep an eye on that for you. Then the showers continue into Thursday morning. But look at these lows, getting down into the 40s as we go into the extended forecast, and very cool next weekend. So we have that to look forward to. Of course, we're going to have more news and weather when we come back as the KOAM Morning News returns.
Topping Health Watch this morning, September is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced Wednesday that it has awarded hundreds of millions of dollars in grants for suicide prevention. In all, $232.2 million in grants were awarded. The vast majority will go help local communities build out capacity for the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Additional grants will also assist with suicide prevention efforts at the college level, as well as helping harder to reach populations such as older adults. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, suicide is one of the leading causes of death in the country. If you or someone you know is struggling, call or text 988. Nearly 50,000 people died by suicide last year, a 2.5% increase from the year prior. How much alcohol you and your spouse drink could influence your teenage children. According to a study published this month in the Journal of Adolescent Health, researchers found that adolescents whose parents drink regularly or binge drink were 4 times more likely to drink themselves. Binge drinking is defined as at least 4 drinks for women and 5 drinks for men on one occasion. Alcohol can have negative effects to teens' health and brain development, and the age at which a person starts drinking is tied to the risk of addiction. More than 45% of kids who started drinking at the age of 13 or younger develop alcohol problems. Experts think substance use and abuse are strongly genetically influenced. So if you want to try to prevent your kids from drinking before they're 21, start by cutting your own consumption. The Food and Drug Administration updated the label of the diabetes drug Ozempic to acknowledge reports of block in testings in some people using it. Ozempic and its sister weight loss drug Wegovy has recently soared in popularity. The medications mimic a hormone the body naturally makes to slow the passage of food through the stomach, which helps people feel fuller longer. The labels of Wegovy and the diabetes drug called Mounjaro acknowledge reports of intestinal blockage in some of the people who use them. Ozempic's label has been updated to say that as well. To mark this World Heart Day, doctors want to remind everyone that women's heart health is often overlooked. Studies show women who suffer a cardiac arrest wait longer for emergency care than men. Bradley Bradburn has one survivor story.
3 years ago, Catherine Fitzgerald was at her son's graduation party when she felt violently ill. I couldn't breathe, and I felt like my right elbow was broken.
The attorney and mother of 3 was having a heart attack, but she says when paramedics arrived, they missed it.
I explained to them my symptoms and my pain and everything, and the paramedics said, "Oh, you're having a panic attack." And I said, "No, I'm not having a panic attack. I'm dying." And he goes, "Well, that's what people say when they're having a panic attack."
Days later, she went to the hospital on her own. She needed 2 stents, and the delay in treatment left her with permanent heart damage.
I would rather that you...
Her current cardiologist, Dr. Harmony Reynolds at NYU Langone Health, says it's a story she hears from too many women, even those who go to the ER right away.
I have heard story after story of women getting ignored in the emergency room, getting told that it almost certainly wasn't their heart, that it was probably stress.
Dr. Reynolds studied women and men who report symptoms of chest pain at emergency rooms. She found women wait longer to get care, by an average of 11 minutes.
Every minute that interruption is there, heart muscle is dying.
For women, signs of heart attack can include chest pain, shortness of breath, nausea, and severe arm pain. A list Catherine says everyone should know.
Any woman that you love, a sister, a mother, a wife, know those symptoms, and if it happens to her, have her back and get her checked out.
Having the muscle to demand care could make all the difference for her heart. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Exactly.
Heart disease is the leading cause of death for women in the U.S., but the CDC says half of women are unaware of that fact. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we're expecting allergies today to be in the moderate category, 6.3, most of that being ragweed and chenopod. We'll have more news and weather right after this.
Good morning, I'm Amber Jenkins with your KOAM News Update. A Carthage driver is dead after a pickup pulls into the path of a tractor trailer. Just before 6:30 last night, reports of a tractor trailer and a pickup truck collision at Missouri 96 and County Road 80. The pickup driver failed to yield and pulled into the path of a tractor trailer. The pickup driver, John James of Carthage, was thrown from the vehicle and pronounced dead on the scene. Images shot by a drone showed the arrest yesterday of a fugitive in northeast Oklahoma. U.S. Marshals asked for the assistance from the Miami, Oklahoma Police Department to find Lucan Logan, who had a warrant in Alwa County for a drive-by shooting that took place in Wyandotte late August. The victim suffered minor injuries, and a tip led authorities to 2 people in a tent in a heavily wooded area near Wyandotte. The police drone monitored the scene as police made the arrest.
This afternoon, we're going to see temperatures in the upper 80s and lower 90s with south winds. And then tonight, mostly fair with temperatures in the 60s. And as we go into the weekend, it's going to be pretty toasty around here with highs above normal near 90. And then finally, some cooler weather as we head towards Wednesday with a chance of thunderstorms. And then much cooler weather next week and next weekend.
Right now at 5:30, Freeman Health Center last night took some time to recognize all the hard work its nurses do.
And we're looking at summer-like weather continuing right on through the weekend. I'll let you know when we can expect some cooler weather in your forecast.
Plus, folks at Pitt State yesterday learned how to help birds migrate more freely.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:32, and I'm Amber Jenkins.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane. It looks like it's going to be more summer-like weather as we head towards the weekend. But there are some changes afoot, and we'll get to that in the forecast. But first, right now, let's take a look outside on the satellite view. Not a whole lot going on across the Central Plains, just a few clouds up in north central Kansas and south central and eastern Nebraska this morning. That's all moving away from us as south winds continuing this morning. And the allergies today are going to be a little bit better. 6.3, and then tomorrow even better at 6.2, most of that being ragweed and chenopod. At least we got rid of the sagebrush across the area. Your UV index today is going to be 6, which is on the high side. And so if you're going to be outside more than 30 minutes, make sure that you are taking the precautions to prevent some sunburn. This afternoon, we're expecting a high of 89 degrees, more summer-like instead of fall, with a temperature of around 86 at lunchtime, 88 at 2 o'clock, and 82 by 4 p.m. So if you're going to be out today and this weekend, make sure that you stay hydrated, take those frequent breaks if possible, limit your outdoor activities, and also wear light-colored and lightweight clothing. Your bus stop forecast this morning looks pretty good. 67 degrees with mostly fair skies. Might see a little bit of patchy foggy out there. And then as we head home from school, around 88 degrees with lots of sunshine and just a few clouds here and there. Looking down the lane, a fantastic Friday, a sunny weekend, a little bit on the warm side. Then we finally get some storms middle part of the week. And then some fall-like temperatures coming in the forecast, and I'll detail more on that coming up in just a little while.
Thanks, Sam. Freeman Health Center last night took some time to recognize all the hard work its nurses do every day. The 8th annual Nursing Gala is a chance for nurses to have some fun while being honored. It also raises money for the Freeman Nurses Education Fund, which helps nurses advance their education.
Nurses are really the heart of the health system. They come into contact with patients really more than any other staff member, and they are there for them to hold their hand, to assist them, to comfort them, to encourage them. They make such a profound difference in the patient experience. We're very grateful for them, so tonight is our opportunity to say thank you.
The theme of this year's gala was A Night Among the Stars. The Columbus, Kansas Chamber of Commerce yesterday mixed business and health. They hosted a business expo and a health fair. People who attended could check out booths set up by local businesses and get health checks like a wellness check and a blood pressure check.
I really hope that they actually realize and remember what they have in their own hometown and to be able to support our businesses here.
The expo was at the State Theater Event Center. Folks at Pitt State yesterday learned how to help birds migrate more safely. Crystal Anton is a bird advocate. She says thousands of birds die needlessly every year during migration, but there's some ways we can help. One way she recommends is to limit light pollution at night to prevent migrating birds from becoming disoriented.
Fix. On our campus, we have put 1/4-inch dots every 2 inches. We've covered about 6,000 square feet of windows where we've identified we have issues. That has dropped the number of birds that we get by 50% or slightly more, depending on the year changes. And with that spacing, you get almost no strikes at all.
Anton was invited to campus for the monthly meeting of the University Abandoned Society. The Carl Junction School District hired 2 new leaders this week for its primary, second, and third grade building. Jake Stevenson is stepping in as the head principal with Austin Rhodes as the assistant principal. Although their hiring process has been less traditional, both principals expressed excitement to get started in their roles. Part of this has to do with their obvious passion for the Carl Junction community.
It's been very good. Fortunately, I've had the opportunity to serve in the same building for the last 8 years. I'm familiar with all the wonderful teachers we have. They're incredible. They do a great job.
In the original.
According to the principals, the transition has been smooth and successful as they step into their leadership positions. Some MSSU students played gala games out on the Oval. This fall, MSSU has chosen to highlight Ireland for the 2023 theme semester. The Recreation Services Department has found their own way to be involved through Irish games. MSSU students had a chance to learn and play the games called hurling. Most students haven't heard of it before.
We were on like a tour and the guy we pulled over and he had a bunch of the hurling sticks and we just got to play for a little and it was really fun.
You know, students love to get involved with intramurals. It's a great way for them to get connected with each other. And this is just a really unique opportunity because we're doing that, but we're also kind of teaching them some history, some culture from those countries.
There are several other events at MSSU involved with the Ireland themed semester still to come before the end of the fall semester. Many of them are open to the community. Here's a look at some events happening in the 4 states this weekend. The 4 States Heart Walk is tomorrow. This year's event, benefiting the American Heart Association, is at the Leggett and Platt Athletic Center on the MSSU campus. Doors open at 9 and walk begins at 9:30. Chanut's Artist Alley is this weekend. You can check out the fine art and handmade crafts in the downtown area. Also check out the new mural that's in the works, live entertainment and train rides. And on Sunday, a Wings and Wheels event to benefit the Freedom of Flight Museum. That's on Dennis Weaver Drive in Webb City. Check out aircraft displays, kids activities, and a car show. It starts at 2 p.m. on Sunday. That's a look at our top stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Chinese hackers breached multiple U.S. government agencies. We have what you need to know. The Pentagon gives updates on Army private who was released from North Korean captivity this week. We have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. And we'll be right back. But first, here's a look from Pittsburgh in honor of their Global Fest. Topping World Watch, the Chinese hackers who breached multiple U.S. government agencies in May stole 60,000 emails from senior State Department officials. A Senate staffer briefed on the matter said that it included information on officials' travel itineraries. The hackers raided the unclassified email accounts of 9 officials focused on East Asia and the Pacific, and another official who covers Europe. On top of that, they access a list of every state department email address, information that could be useful for future hacking efforts aimed at the department. Those details coming in a briefing on the hacking campaign that senior Senator state government IT officials gave the Senate on Wednesday. Chinese government officials have responded to the hacking allegations by accusing the U.S. of conducting cyber attacks against China. Residents in one Greek town tried to clean up after a storm swept through yesterday. Cars submerged in water and stuck in mud, roads swept away, and thousands of homes flooded after the storm bombarded the region. The storm is the second in less than a month to hammer central Greece. 16 people were killed in the area earlier this month, and more than $2.1 billion in damages are being blamed on the bad weather. The Pentagon gives updates on Army private who was released from North Korean captivity this week. Private Travis King returned to the United States Wednesday. King was captured after crossing into North Korea back in July. Pentagon spokesperson discussed what may now be in store for him. While temperatures are starting to cool off thanks to the fall, new data shows that the Earth is continuing to get hotter. It's causing massive dips in the sea ice and glaciers that scientists say help ward off the sun rays. Besides creating problems for people, researchers say this crisis is pushing some adorable Arctic animals to their limit. Sean Langill takes a closer look.
They may be cute, but new research finds some penguin populations are facing a massive problem. The U.S. National Snow and Ice Data Center reports levels of Antarctic sea ice hit record lows this winter. Scientists say the culprit is higher ocean temperatures, impacted by human-caused climate change from greenhouse gas emissions.
Sea ice was much below the usual coverage for summer, and then this winter, sea ice it froze over at a much slower rate.
The vanishing ice is impacting thousands of emperor penguins who rely on it for raising their young.
The sea ice, it melted away before the penguin chicks were ready to swim. And the chicks, they have these fluffy feathers. They can't swim and they can't dry themselves if they fall in the water. And so the sea ice melted and these penguins drowned, and that was over 9,000 penguins.
Meanwhile, a similar problem is happening thousands of miles away in Switzerland, where the country's glaciers have lost 10% of their ice volume in just 2 years.
This loss equals the entire loss we had between 1960 and 90. So we have a big acceleration, and this acceleration in the glacier melting, this is due to climate change.
The loss of glaciers and sea ice could cause global temperatures to continue spiking. This is because a lack of white snowy surfaces on Earth limits how much sunlight is reflected back into space.
Glaciers have advanced and retreated over the last millions of years. due to natural causes. But what we are seeing now is completely different.
Sean Langell, Fox News.
Let's look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's looking like a really nice morning, including Seneca, Missouri to Indigo Sky Casino and Resort with the full moon starting to set now. And remember, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have an annular solar eclipse start to move into the area. And we'll talk more about that as we get closer to it. Right now, we're looking at 67 degrees, south-southeast wind at 6. Feels like 67 out there, dew point is 61, and the humidity at 81%. Radar is all clear, and it's been that way for quite some time. In fact, we're way below normal on rainfall still, even though we had quite a bit of rain last week. And we did see some improvement in southwestern Missouri with the drought situation, but unfortunately, Chautauqua, Elk, and Montgomery counties continue to deal with exceptional drought. And over the next 36 hours, we're not expecting much rainfall, if any, across the area, pretty much a zero chance as we go through the next 36 hours into the weekend. Temperatures right now are very pleasant. Pick out your hometown, 65 in Yates Center, as well as Iola. 64 in Chanute, where we'll be at noon today, as well as the road show at 5 and 6. 63 in Lamar right now, 63 in Anderson, and 67 degrees down in Grove. Dew points, they're generally in the upper 50s, even some lower 60s now starting to show up out in Independence and Nowata with those south winds bringing up a little bit of Gulf moisture. And as a result, we're going to feel like it's in the 90s this afternoon across southeastern Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma. And that's going to continue right on through the weekend with highs in the upper 80s and lower 90s. So it's going to feel more like summer instead of fall out there across the area. And it's all because of this ridge of high pressure that's sitting over us, and it's going to strengthen over the weekend, but then finally it's going to move off towards the east, and that's going to allow a storm system to dig down into the plains and deliver some rainfall as well as some much cooler air as we go into the latter part of the forecast, returning more to normal. In the meantime, we're not expecting much in the way of rainfall like we had last week, but generally around half an inch or less with the system on Wednesday, maybe a little bit more down to the south and east where the moisture will be a little bit deeper. This afternoon, we're going to see highs summer-like, generally upper 80s to lower 90s with south winds. Then as we go into tonight, we're going to see lows generally in the 60s across the area, and the summer-like weather continues into tomorrow with highs in the upper 80s and lower 90s. And over the next 7 days, it's going to be dry all the way until Wednesday when we have that chance of thunderstorms, and to Thursday as well, and then much cooler next weekend. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Pittsburgh, Kansas in honor of their Global Fest. We'll be back right after this.
Certainly not your average sandcastle. Artists from around the world competed in an international sand sculpting championship in Virginia Beach. Anthony Sabella got an early look in the final hours before judging.
Precisely at 8 a.m., the race to the finish starts. 6 hours Thursday before shovels down and the judging begins.
These were mounds of sand just 3 days ago, and to see how far they've come, it's incredible. And every year I think I can't be amazed, and I am.
Intricate, attention-grabbing designs. The International Sand Sculpting Championship sure to drive foot traffic to the Neptune Festival Boardwalk weekend. Protected under the tent at 7th Street, 22 entries from 30 competitors representing 15 countries. Sunita and Agnes are a doubles team from Latvia, their first time in Virginia Beach.
I love it. We have just sea. We have Baltic Sea. We don't have ocean. So
now we
I'm
can
enjoying,
feel we can feel the power of nature here. The title of sculpture will be Circle of Life.
When we get born, nice age, and then when we are getting old.
Sculpted from sand, shipped special from Currituck County across the state line. It has a higher clay content, I'm told, making it easier to shape. But it's still sand, as they found out a few days ago.
There was a huge part that fell out from the middle.
Yeah, but we saved it.
But we saved it, and it's still standing. So I got goosebumps now telling.
Another team not so lucky. No! A devastating collapse with just hours to go early Thursday. But when every grain finds its place, you could say the beauty is worth the stress. Stunning works of art for the world to see.
The sculptures can be viewed by the public today through October 8th. We'll be right back. There's a new one to add to your Costco shopping list, a gold bar. The retailer is selling 1 ounce 24 karat gold bars for just under $2,000 each. It's been available on Costco's website, and it comes individually stamped with a unique serial number. A Costco top executive says they're a hot item and they're selling out within a couple of hours after being posted to the Costco website. The bars come from South African mining company, and the gold is a non-refundable and ships via UPS. A morning cup of joe, whether it's the aroma, the energizing boost, or just the ritual of drinking coffee, many of us can't start the day without it. And now it's time to celebrate our favorite beverage because it's Friday is National Coffee Day. According to the legend, an Ethiopian goat herder first discovered coffee berries around 850 AD. Local monks learned how to roast the coffee beans and steep them in hot water, and coffee was born. From there, the addictive hot drink spread throughout the Middle East, Europe, and the New World. Today, Brazil produces the most coffee than any other country, closely followed by Colombia. In honor of the day, many local cafes and national coffee chains are offering special discounts and even some free giveaways. Celebrate by sharing your favorite cup on social media with the hashtag National Coffee Day.
Might be a little bit warm for coffee out there this afternoon, that's for sure, with highs in the upper 80s and lower 90s. Then as we go into the weekend, we're going to still be mild in the morning with lows in the 60s with south winds. Then Saturday afternoon, still summer-like with temperatures in the upper 80s to right around 90 degrees, especially out towards the west. And then as we take a look into Sunday morning, we're still going to see lows generally mild with lows in the 60s. And over the next 7 days, we're going to see the dry weather continue into the early part of next week. Finally, some storms on Wednesday and much cooler next week. We'll have more right after this.